Welcome back. Now let's start the program in earnest. We're only a week out, we're only a week before May 29th when the new government will be inaugurated, and a lot of people have tried to set an agenda for the incoming government, and we've heard a lot in the last week or two about what the president should start doing immediately, and a whole long list of what he should be doing: security, power, economy, agri, health, education, infrastructure, blah, blah.
Slow down. It's okay.
And the list is as long as my arm, and I say, my God, this poor man, how is he going to deal with all of this? I can see that we just have to be patient. He can't deal with everything at the same time on day one. We have people in the studio who are going to help us set an agenda for the incoming government. I'd like to welcome Mrs. Omobolaji Oduwole, who is a public communications analyst. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show.
And also in the studio is a public policy analyst, Mr. Tunji Ladner.
Thank you for having me.
And joining us from Abuja is the Commissioner, Code of Conduct Bureau, Mr. Ademola Adebo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Now, to many, Mrs. Oduwole, Miss Oduwole, to many, the first thing they want to see the government tackle is the issue of power, because they believe that from power, the fallouts will be great. It will affect employment, it will affect health, it will affect almost every other sector. What is your take?
That's a loaded question in the sense that, yes, we all know, everybody knows. I'm sure if you ask a 3-year-old, they'll tell you electricity, power, NEPA. You know, you fix electricity, you fix everything. You fix the socioeconomic structure of the citizenry. Basically, they let themselves come back in 2019. So they fix the future for the party as well. So you fix power, you fix education, you fix health. Vaccines need electricity. Education needs electricity. Just to be able to wake up and iron your clothes and cook and do everything else, or to preserve your food. Electricity, you can't say you live in a modern world and you don't have electricity. So if you fix electricity, you fix everything. But there's more to ruling a nation than the emergency fixing of electricity. So at the APC session on the vision to strategy or vision to actualization thing they had in Abuja on Wednesday and Thursday, yes, everybody spoke about electricity and the criticality of fixing electricity. We even discussed adopting the Lagos State model where you do emergency power supply, like they do in Mozambique, like they do in Eastern Africa and South Africa, where you have generators or something. There's a way where you just create farms of emergency electricity, basically, and they have a captive audience and do all of that and fix that. But you see, it's not so much about the things you do. It's the softer issues. That's what Tunji and I were talking about before we came out. How do you ensure that the ethics, because this is now a situation where the deficit of trust of the citizenry is negative. It's like almost the Antarctic where you're at like negative 14 degrees or something. So how do you fix that? Because
how do you come from that?
How do you come from that? And it's sending very strong signals about, we listen to everybody talk about corruption. There are some fantastic people talking about corruption, Sojia Pampa, I remember Soji's name because Soji's maybe has been talking about corruption and transparency forever that I know of. But the thing is, if there's not a clear signal from leadership, even up to the people they appoint, I can't have an issue, or I can't have a reputational issue, or I can't be known to have said everything negative about the incoming administration, and then all of a sudden, I'm doing the praise dance, the praise song, and then the new administration is falling for it, and then they're bringing me in. So it's not just about the things that we're fixing, it's also about the reputation of the new government. One of the things I was explaining was that I just got back from Oxford, which was why, I had to keep cancelling. And one of the things they said to me in the room was, oh, Popolaji, Nigeria's like 20, 30 years behind, aren't they, on reputation issues?
Oh dear.
Oh dear. But I couldn't. It's true, isn't it? We
What
seem
was
to think
your
that
response?
My response was, yes, well, the new administration is going to help us fix that, aren't they? But it's because, you see, the thing is, when you walk into a room and people don't know you and they're hugging you, when both people are hugging you to say, I'm so excited for you, I'm so excited for Nigeria, congratulations. It speaks volumes about the expectations everybody has of this new administration. And for them, again, it's not for everybody, it's not about, yes, you have to fix power, you have to fix education, you have to fix agriculture, but we cannot. Let me give you an example. Somebody that's never voted before got up to go and vote. She said, Bolaji, I'm going to go and vote to change because in Nigeria, as it is no longer sustainable. And the person was referring to not just the deficit of trust, but the impunity, the corruption, the lack of control in what is, in what is governance. And that is what we need to fix. So when people say they want change, it's not so much about, it is about good roads. It is about making Nigeria a less hard country to live in. But it's just that, the dignity of being a Nigerian.
Which we seem to have lost.
Well, it sounds like something, to some people they might say, put that aside. Give me the one I can see. But it's heavy from the point of view you're coming from. It's heavy. 30-year deficit in reputation.
20.
She said
20 to 30 years.
Reputation deficit. It's not
So myself.
the economic deficit.
Never mind.
You had
to chop it down a little bit, right? Yeah.
It's like that.
Sob.
Yeah.
It looks like an enormous task ahead of this new administration. But there has to be an anchor point.
Well, Bolaji's position echoes what I'm about to say, actually. I don't think the challenges are the hard technical challenges of water, light, all of those things are developmental challenges everywhere in the world. Nobody has perfect provision of public goods and services, to be sure, right? The challenge is not that. It's the soft adaptive issues which he's talking about. I'm going to throw out a general framing. There's a quote by Einstein, one of my favorite quotes, is that the solution to a problem requires a higher order of reasoning than what caused those problems. Right? Okay? The other one that I think is also analogous to this is you cannot keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. Also by Einstein. I mean, oh, by the way, that's a perfect definition for insanity. It's a person who is mad. No, technically, it's a psychological definition of madness. You keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you expect different results, okay? And the third part of it that I always, throw back to Nigerians is, okay, we're faced with all of these challenges. Each one itself, it's a monumental effort, right, to fix, okay? But what can you fix? What is that catalytic thing that you can address that somehow helps to shape and redress the challenges of the other ones? And is the mindset. And again, just to break it down, this is something when I talk to younger people who are tech savvy, I'm not too sure about this generation here, but if you imagine that Nigeria, if you imagine that, I know, it's that reputation deficit thing we're talking about. If you imagine that Nigeria is a computer, right? The hardware itself is fine, the firmware, it's a wonderful country, right? The problem that is wrong with Nigeria on the basis of this metaphor is the operating system of that computer. Computers are designed for work, for tasks, specific tasks. You issue certain instructions based on the software, based on the application, and it delivers certain goods and services, right? Okay? I'm mixing the metaphor now, Nigeria computer. Okay, so the problem with Nigeria is not the computer itself, it's the software, right? Okay, so if you're going to fix Nigeria, we have to change the operating system, the OS of Nigeria. There's also a secondary challenge in the sense that the people who operate that software, the peopleware, also have a problem with the mindware of those people. So the people who are operating that computer also have a problem with their own operating system, which is what she was alluding to, right? If I take just one part of what she was talking about in terms of reputation, when you have a country that there's no risk of reputational damage, there's nothing that says I'm a person of honor and so therefore I can present myself for leadership. And this has been on for the last 50 years. We've recycled the same set of people. We know their histories, their biographies very clearly. But what is it about us, Nigerians, that we're willing to accept them and give them the keys to the Commonwealth. And they rape and pillage the Commonwealth, and we all suffer. And
Mr. Lad,
yes.
I beg your pardon, I have to butt in here.
Certainly.
But doesn't it say something to Nigerians and of Nigerians
Yes.
that Muhammadu Buhari won that election based on his reputation?
Absolutely, absolutely. That is
Does
where
that mean
but it
anything?
means something. But this is the beginning of a long journey, right? We're nowhere near the end of it. Definitely, it was a tipping point issue, right? Something has tipped in the general psyche of Nigerians. But now the hard work begins, and the question you have to ask yourself: are Nigerians themselves willing to change? It has nothing to do about the externalities of change or the rhetoric of political campaigns. If you're going to change, you must first change yourself, right? And that is where the problem is. And it's almost, there's so much poetic irony now. We all have our logistical tales of coming in here this morning to get here. No fuel, right? There's no power. Are you buying at 200? Are you buying at 260? And the entire collapse of